check. Aha. Out. I want to see if the link I gave you is working, but it isn't. What about this one? Ah, here we go. That's the link. Share this. Copy. Get rid of this crap. Oh boy. Done. I can go to YouTube. Everyone else too. Let's see if that works. Yes. Done. Okay. Okay. Right here. Good. Okay. Still talking to myself. It'll be just like we're in class together. Pens. To move this guy over here. Sorry about the gratuitous crotch shot. Just setting up over here. Still by myself. Get my computer. I'm ready. Coronavirus edition. Is it go? I'm gonna check. See if anyone is still stuck at the other stream. Stuck at the other stream. Close this one. Very good. Ooh. There we go. Gotta clean up that lens a little bit, huh? Pretty gross. Okay. Check, check. Ooh, many seconds of delay. Good to know. Let's see if I can hear myself. I can. I can. There we go. Good to know. Now, all I have to wait for is an audience. Yes, someone's here. Hello, one person. I'm gonna wait till 1:30 to see if anything's happening. Can I see a list of the people watching? I can't. That's weird. Okay, I don't need this. How about chat? Participants, there we go. It's just me. So if I do this, am I going to hear myself? I will not. Good. So I figured it out. Okay. On red. Somehow there's 2 participants, but when I look at the list of participants, it's just me. So whoever's there, hello, I guess. But as long as I don't know who it is, I'm going to assume I'm talking to myself. Because that's probably what's going on. Feel free to use the chat to send messages. But I'm going to grab my book and start reading right now because no one's here. I got a whiteboard and everything. I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh, I should look at the camera. I'm ready. That's better. There's a message here somewhere. So if you see me looking down here, that's because that's my screen and I'm looking at myself because this is weird. Never done this before. So still getting adjusted to it. It's not like Skype because when I'm in Skype, there's someone else talking to me. Now I'm talking to myself in my office. And it's just not natural, no matter what. Especially since my family is here and they can overhear me. But, you know, it's not so bad. In the meantime, check out my plants. Oh, look at these beautiful plants over here. Yes. It's a bit of a gray day. There's supposed to be some crazy thunderstorm coming. So let's hope that doesn't mess with us too much. That's my office. Ooh, I'm going to set up just like, maybe like this. There we go. I can sit right here. Well, maybe a little bit more like this. There we go. Perfect. 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 Excuse me. So I'm just going to put this right here. And, oh, I don't need this to be so loud. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to get some paper to wipe this board and a book to read because no one's here. I'm reading this book called, let me show you the other one. So, this author, oh, here I am, back with just myself. There you go. chat. Say hi in chat. I'm going to write on this thing. See, a little bit of a mess, huh? The people person upon the paper. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Let's do it. Instead. All right, I like this. Say hi in chat. Right here. Perfect. Oh, whoa, crazy rain starting. Good. I see that a few of you So how can I do that? How to use
Welcome everyone. This is a small tutorial on how to use my DSLR webcam software for this to be run. It's literally download the file, you open it, extract.
what is this?
Alright, so
Fine, now listen now. See.
alright, welcome everyone. This is a small tutorial on how to use my
I'm
DSLR
watching a tutorial
webcam software.
on how to use.
It's a really tiny little build using the C# wrapper library that you can get on Source Forged. Sorry, and I've wrapped it up in this tiny little development release. All right. So what you need to do for this to be run is literally download the file, you open it, extract it. Yes, and then the evaluation copy. Who doesn't? You extract it. It appears here. You open it, and there you have 3 files. You need to run the exe file. When you do that, you are greeted with a blue screen like this. The blue screen is on purpose. So when, for example, when you are configuring the camera, it will automatically be chroma keyable. So you don't have to worry about weird stuff like borders around windows and stuff. And then the only thing you need to do is connect your compatible camera to the USB port and then just turn it on. Let me show you. I've got a D300 connected and I'll and it right now. So accepts it and it takes the live feed from the image. Um, Maybe you don't really trust it that this is a DSLR, but if you zoom like this, it can zoom really far. Excuse the skin, by the way. It has a couple of really easy features like the autofocus, just autofocus.
No thanks. Too complicated. I'll stick with this. Especially considering no one's here. I'm talking to myself. This is what the apocalypse looks like. Excuse me. A few of you came over. A lot of you did not. So, oof, Brianna. Right. Still by myself. Still by myself. I'm gonna stretch out and I'm gonna keep browsing the internet. Mamma är inte en Gabriel. Aha. Maybe someone's here? It says just me. Pop-up chat. Does that work? Nope. Well, it says 2 participants. I'm one of them, and you are the other one. No pressure. No pressure. Let me know you're here by saying hi in chat. So, coronavirus. So what do we have to say about this? Well, not a whole lot. But, wash your hands. Stay safe. Don't touch anyone. Don't touch anyone. Mm-hmm. Still here. Hello. Everyone's a little lonely. I get it. It's okay. Oh, yeah. Well, Jasmine, hi. Yeah, well, yeah. That's a good point. I think that's probably what's gonna have to happen. So we're gonna have to push all the assignments a little further. So I wouldn't rely too much on what Canvas is saying right now and put more importance in what the official communications from the school are. I haven't actually checked my email today, so thanks, Jasmine. Shout out. Oh, watch out. There's a third person in here. Don't tell anyone. Let's see. The mail. Okay. Office of the President. Let's see what he has to say. Whoa, he has a video update. I'm not going to watch that. My main goal with doing this live stream, besides, keeping you company if you're lonely, is that we can do something similar to what we do in class, which is that you can work, and if you have questions, I can be there to answer them. But if there's only 4 of you for now, which Jasmine explained, why that was happening, we'll see how long I stay. Might not stay until 5 o'clock. So, we'll see, I guess. Tell your friends, I guess. I'm just looking at stuff on the internet. That's because that's what the internet's good for. Let's see now. Okay, hello, Michelle. Yes, Michelle, I'll give you the link. I think the link that I put on Canvas initially was wrong because it's my fault. I can figure out how this whole live streaming thing does or works on YouTube. But I believe this live stream or this link should work. Just hanging out at home. This is my office, by the way. I borrowed my son's little whiteboard over here, so I'm all set up. And, you know, someone else is keeping watch over all this. Just, you know, watch out. He's a sneaky little jerk. So, okay. We got Jasmine and Michelle and another person. It's weird. It always adds an extra one. Like there's 3 of us now, but it says that there's 4 people in here. Maybe it's because I forgot. That's probably what it is. I close this and this. This. Okay. Too many tabs open. Whoops. Close this up. Okay. Well. Oh, wow. I just saw in my email from yesterday that all the dorms are closing. Oh, man, that sucks for you guys, huh? It's not right. Well, I guess if you live in the dorms. If you don't, then I guess it doesn't affect you too much. Let's see. Hi, Safura. Good to see you. Let's see if I can hear it when you guys send something in the chat. So, let me open Canvas over here. Project. All right, so we got Michelle, Jasmine, and Safura so far. Oh, Jasmine left. Okay. So, let's see. Right. And Michelle and Safura, in your voting project, you also have Rebecca. Let's get the. Oh, wait a minute. What? Jasmine, this thing is really iffy. Oh, yeah, you're back in the list. Okay. Sorry, Jasmine. Didn't want to. Let's see. So, well, although the stuff shouldn't be moved or will take a few weeks to move online, like the college said, you know, they gave us until spring break to move everything online. I think that this class is pretty easy to move online because we work on computers. So that's why I decided to try this week. I think that if this works out, that's might be how I'm going to do the class, combined with some quick little videos that go over the stuff that I would normally show you in class. The main idea is that we have, well, you know, a fair amount of things to do, and I don't want to just kind of throw all this semester in the garbage just because of virus. At the same time, it's like we were saying last week, you still have to be careful out there because, we don't want to spread it around. We want us to be over as quickly as possible. So if you went out for St. Paddy's Day, well, probably wasn't a good idea. So try to stay home as much as you can. But at this point, if you don't know that already, I'm not the one that's going to show you. So you know the rules. You wash your hands, you stay inside, and you cry all day. And that'll sort everything out. Now, I know that it could be a little tricky sometimes to find things to do during the day if you're just stuck at home. And I imagine that a lot of you don't really have a job anymore, right? Sydney, hey, how's it going? Yeah, he saw the message. So we have a few people. Verna, hello. Very good. Slowly but surely. So that's good. We get a good kind of cross-section of all the teams for the voting project here. So that's going to be helpful. Yes, things to do during the day. Well, I mean, if you don't have to work anymore because you work in a business that was closed, that gives you a lot of free time. So, suggestions, we're all artists. So, brush up on some skills that you didn't really do before, like drawing, painting. If you want to do some compositions and etc. in InDesign, that's another thing. Brush up on learning that software. All the good things that you can learn while you're stuck at home. Reading is also fun for me. Well, I like reading. And try to go for a walk once in a while so you don't lose your mind. And, stay in touch with your friends and stay healthy. So we have a lot of different things to do before the end of the semester. We talked about this last week. Oh, right on the board. So exciting. Okay. Look at that. I have my markers. I'm all set up. It's like I was ready for this pandemic. Okay, so we have voting project. And then we have portfolio. And then we have programming exercise. And maybe 2 quizzes. Like this. There we go. Well, I don't know if that's really useful because my writing's not better on a small one. It's still pretty crappy. I can figure that out. So we have 4 projects left. And this is week 8 out of 15. So we're right in the middle of the semester. But ideally, I would like to still manage to go through all of that stuff. For your own sake, you want to learn, maybe, hopefully. And that means that we have to figure out a way to still get in touch together and get this stuff done. So for the voting project, it's a little tricky because it's a team project and you might not be able to meet with your teammates. In fact, it's probably better if you don't, unless they're your roommate already or something like that. So I would recommend that you do something like this, where you can either live stream or Skype together. And you can also share some code through CodePen. You remember at the beginning of the semester, I talked about CodePen. CodePen.io is the address. So this is like super lo-fi, by the way, but like the moment I start getting more comfortable with this, I'll try to do some like graphics that appear at the bottom, like 1-800-CodePen. Something like that, so that it's a little bit more dynamic. And so CodePen.io, if you haven't made an account on there, it's a good idea because you can just put little bits of code on there and share them very easily with someone else. So for the voting project, that's a good way to share stuff. But of course, you can also just put it on your server as well and then send a link to your classmate so that you can still work. Oh no, I'm touching my face too much. You gotta watch out for that. But thankfully, my hands are clean. I did take a shower today and I haven't left the house, so I get the feeling I'm going to be okay. My hobby for the duration of this quarantine is to build myself a new computer, because my old computer, not the one that's right here, but my desktop, is falling apart and starting to misbehave. So I bought all these parts and I'm going to put a computer together with my kid, and it's going to be fun, mostly because I'm going to have a kick-ass computer after that. So, oh man. Okay. So I'm just trying to figure out the YouTube details here. Here we go. Perfect. So for the voting project, let me just check what the deadlines were on Canvas, but I'm probably going to have to adjust those deadlines a little bit. But I don't want to push stuff too late, because that's going to give us less time to work on the portfolio. So assignments. I'm in Canvas right now looking at the assignments. The voting project was supposed to be due. Yeah, see, I didn't even adjust the date. So in a couple weeks, I think that still makes sense. And the JavaScript, we're just going to be due a month from now. So I'll show you that next week. And so the portfolio is due at the end of the semester. So for us, besides the quizzes, which are kind of low-key, a lot of that stuff is still on track. Like, we can still keep those dates, I think, without ruining your whole semester. Well, I mean, yes, there's other things that are ruining the semester, but, you know, that's a different problem. Not my fault. If you're looking for some post-apocalyptic movie viewing, 12 Monkeys is a good classic from 90-something, about some sort of world recovering from some sort of, you know, international pandemic. Sounds familiar. There's also the movie Contagion, which is really much more realistic. That's just kind of detailing all the stuff that people have to do when something like this happens. Fascinating stuff. But I don't know if that one's very easily streamable. And of course, your favorite zombie movie also would be very appropriate in this case, because that's what's going to happen to all of us, all zombies. So it's so weird. So it says that there's 6 people here, but when I look at the participants, it just says me. Say hi in the chat if you're still here, just so I can get a sense of how this is working. I'm going to write say hi on chat on my board again. Armin. Yes, it matters, Armin, because you matter. There we go. Yay. So that's okay. I see. That's interesting, because at the top of my screen up here, it says 7 with a little icon of people. But then if I go into the live chat and I click on participants, I'll see now all of you are back. Weird. Just a second ago it was nothing, but I get the feeling it's when you type something in the chat that I see you as a participant. So I'll just rely on the fact that it says 7 at the top to know that I'm not talking to myself, because that's just not what I want to do. At the same time, though, you know, there's some weeks in class that I definitely have that feeling, because everyone's working hard in class. So what I would recommend that you do now is that you start working on your voting project, so that if you run into issues or questions, you can send me a link to your code and I can help you. And if those questions are relevant to everybody, then I can share them with everyone. At the same time, it's also just good to keep each other company for a little bit, just because everyone's stuck at home. And, you know, what are you going to do? I wish I had some more entertaining backdrop. Maybe I'll get myself a green screen and I'll make it look like I'm on a roller coaster or something. Why not? Yeah. Let me check for a second if I had anything specific to show you this week. I'm not going to do that in the stream because I want to have a discrete video that I'm going to save on Canvas. So, you know, those presentations that I usually do, yes, the variables. Presentations that I usually do in class, I'm going to just record and put on Canvas. So the one for this week is called CSS variables. You should check out that link because that's a super useful feature of CSS, the var property. You can define variables at the beginning of your CSS, just like it says in that link. And after that, you can use that variable everywhere. The advantage of doing that is that if you're using the same margin everywhere or the same color everywhere, you can put it in a variable at the top. And then if you want to change the color, all you have to do is change that variable's value at the top, as opposed to changing it all the way through your CSS. So ideally, we would have something that is still well written. You want your CSS to not repeat itself. DRY, don't repeat yourself. But variables can help you with a different kind of level of organization. Let's see. Okay. Here's my question for you right now. Did you guys go vote 2 days ago? Anybody? Yeah? Maybe? Were you too afraid to touch someone else or something else? Did you wash your hands? Delicious. Early voted. Smart. Awesome. Early voted was probably the safest quote unquote way in the sense that you just do it at home. But when I went to my office, my voting place, it was pretty empty. So it was mostly okay. I was kind of feeling bad for the workers there though, because they're the ones that are exposed to every single person that comes through. You also probably noticed that the government is passing through some sort of bill that's going to give everyone a little bit of money. Well, that'll help for all of you guys and me as well. So let's hope that comes through. Oh, say hi. Just realized that what I wrote on my board doesn't make any sense. Say hi to chat. Who's chat? Let's write it like this. In chat. There we go. So one of my hobbies is I really like writing, like calligraphy, fountain pens and stuff like that. So that's one of the things I've been practicing while I've been stuck at home. But I also have 2 kids that are in elementary school, so part of my day is also trying to help them still learn something. One's in kindergarten, so they're not learning a whole lot. The other one's in 3rd grade, so we got to figure that out. Make sure to keep in touch with your parents as well, since they are probably a little bit more susceptible to this virus than we are. Yes, so I'm currently just looking at the schedule for the rest of the semester that I have in Canvas. So we have 2 more weeks before the end, or before spring break. And I think that by the end of spring break, we'll have a fairly good idea of how this whole quarantine thing is panning out, because there's a few countries that are ahead of us in this scenario. And so that gives us a little bit of insight on exactly how this stuff is going to pan out for us. But of course, it helps to just stay home and social distance. Video games are good as well for social distancing. You can still play with your friends. That's what I do. Yeah. Oh, got an email. Duncan McKenzie. Huh, look. I just got an email from this person. Some chair of the art history. Web services infrastructural support. How are we doing, he asks, in this whole transition to online? Well, gotta say, for this, it's pretty easy, but my other class, design thinking, I think it's gonna be a lot trickier. So once again, my plan is to record some quick videos with the slides so that you can watch those and have my beautiful voiceover. And also, if this live stream works out, then I might be doing this every week. It's unlikely that I'll do this for a full 4 hours because that's lose my mind a little bit. But you know, potentially we can do this for the first couple hours or 2.5 hours of the class, so that if you have questions, we can all work on them together. We can also, another possibility is to do some sort of critique where in the chat here, you could put the link to your page, your voting project page, and everyone can look at it. What I should tell you though is that brackets does not support PHP. So if you look at the instructions in the assignment, it tells you to rename your file to PHP and then add that line that says include with a bunch of question marks. That thing is so that the navigation bar appears at the top of your page. But the moment you do that, brackets is like, oh, I can't handle this, because PHP is a server-side programming language, and brackets doesn't understand how to deal with that. There's a workaround, which is using a different piece of software called MAMP, M-A-M-P. I'm going to write it in, or I'm going to write it on here, because why not? MAMP, M-A-M-P. So MAMP for Mac and WAMP for Windows. WAMP. What it does is that it simulates a server on your own computer so that brackets can still run the PHP software, but it's a little bit complicated to set up. So my recommendation is that you wait until you're done with your page to include all the bits that make the navigation possible at the top. Just keep in mind that the navigation is up there and it takes up a certain amount of space on the screen. Alternatively, if you rename your file to PHP and do all that stuff that I was just talking about, once you upload it onto your server or the server that's dedicated to this, then you'll be able to look at it in your browser. When you're working on something that's a little slow because you have to upload and like the process of checking and testing stuff can be a little tedious that way, but you'll see it exactly how you're supposed to see it on the web with the navigation at the top. So 2 possibilities, MAMP or just upload it. Well, I guess 3 possibilities. MAMP, upload it, and just wait to change it to a PHP file. So as long as it's called index.html, you can just keep working and check your results in brackets. So don't forget that brackets is a free piece of software. So that means that if you have a computer at home, you can install it on there if you like. Yes. Still got some. Good. Okay. So I just confirmed that indeed it says that there's still 7 people, but then the chat says participants 0. That's because that's just for the chat. Good to know. So today's a little bit gray. Let me just show you. Can we do this? Oh, no, we can't. Oh, look at my plants. This one's a weirdo. This one, I love it. Look, it's just a bunch of sticks. So, yeah, 100%. So it's a little rainy out there today. Whoop. Let's come back over here. So not the best day to go outside, but apparently it's going to rain a lot. So if you need some fresh air, you might want to go while it's not quite raining a whole lot yet. What I'm going to do is in the next week or so, I'm going to try to catch up on the grading. As you know, your resumes were due last week, right? And so I'm going to take a look at that. And also probably tonight, I'm going to send out a quiz. Since we're at that point, we need to do a second one. So probably that's going to be a little bit different because of this remote teaching thing. So I wanted to do 4 quizzes, but I think it's going to be just 3. So we already did 1, so there'd be 2 left at this point. So 1 probably now-ish, and then maybe at week 12, 13, around there somewhere, so it's not too much towards the end, I'll do the 3rd quiz. You know, I should probably set up... okay, good. If you don't remember the URL, the voting project, it is cccvotes.org. I think. There it is. Yes, and I corrected the mistake that someone pointed out in one of my graphs that was talking about Gen Y and millennials, where it should have been Gen Z, so I corrected that last week. I'd be very curious to see exactly what the turnout was for this primary. Let's see, 2020 primary turnout. I think that generally speaking, the younger voters haven't been coming out. That's not great. Oh, this is too old. I want some stats. Huh. There's been records for turnouts in general for now. This is another thing that's kind of up in the air. How is this quarantine going to affect the voting turnout? I think it's pretty fair to say, you know, we've had a lot of states that have already voted, but there's probably about half of them that are still left, maybe a little bit less than that. So I think it'll be interesting to see the numbers, to see if there's a big drop. Illinois was kind of scolded for not being too quarantine friendly, and no delays, no nothing, no, the early voting was still available, but they didn't do any sort of concession to the fact that people had to stay home. So I think that might affect the turnout. Oh, Mary, nice to see you. Yeah, residence hall. They're kicking everyone out of the dorms. That sucks. Hopefully you get along with your parents if that's where you're going. Also, hopefully it means that you're still mostly isolated. But yeah, that's tough out of the dorms. That's tricky. And who here can't work anymore because of this? Who's lost their work for now? And also, did you get straight up fired or laid off? Or did they say, we'll get back to you in a month? Benji. Oh, man. Armin, Verna, yeah, it sucks. That's the thing. It's like a lot of the jobs that students have are the jobs that are the first to close. Well, unless you work at like Target. In that case, you're working overtime at this point. But like if you work in a restaurant, you're probably not working anymore, right? Gonna find out tomorrow, Sydney. Well, fingers crossed for you. Hopefully that's gonna work out. However, I mean, at this point, if it's a, if the trade-off is, yes, you still work, but you're a lot more at risk, then I don't know if it's necessarily worth it. But hopefully they're going to do something so that, you don't fall behind on your rent and all that kind of stuff, right? I actually have, so this is my house. We bought this house a few years ago, and there's a tenant upstairs that's actually one of my former students. And I think his job is still going because he can work remotely. He's a graphic designer at Morningstar, which is a company downtown, like a financial company. But yeah, I wonder, because we still have to pay that mortgage, even if they can't pay the rent. Thankfully, both my wife and I are, academics. She works at UAC, I work at Columbia, so I'm still getting paid, even if I'm here. And so is she. But I can only imagine what it's like for people who are already just kind of tight on money and now suddenly are not working. So trying to hold on. The government is passing all this stimulus to give you some money, well, give us some money, every single person. I think that's probably the right thing to do at this point so that the economy doesn't collapse. We'll see how that pans out. My feeling is that the economy is going to suffer a lot while this is happening, but the moment it's done, it's going to slowly pick up the pace. Also, get ready for a coronavirus baby boom in December. Look out for it. Next December, there's going to be an uptick in the birth rate. It's just how it works. Who had to move back with their parents because of the dorms closing? How's that going to work out? Are you friendly with your parents, or is it a little tough? Always a catch. Maybe next week I'll set this up Twitch style, like I was saying, where I'll play a video game and I'll just be in the corner like this. Oh, Mary, you moved back with your parents? How's that going? They're not too much on your case? Get off my back, dads! Right? Oh, well, that makes it easy, Verna. Yeah, I actually lived with my parents too when I was in university because I was broke and living in an apartment was just not an option. So that saved me a ton of money, and I'm glad I did it. They live in the oh, well, the cute dog makes it. Like if your parents have a dog, that just helps everything. Oh, and Safur also commuted. Well, I mean, I guess now you don't have to commute, so that makes your life easier. It's always a little tricky getting stuck in a room with or in a house with the same people. After a few days, it just kind of like whoops, whoop, builds up. So it can be tricky to be patient some days, but I know I'm trying over here. So we'll see how that pans out. And the thing about having a dog is that you can go take the dog for a walk. So that's a good activity. It's nice to stay, healthy. But not when it's raining this much, though. Oof. Let's see. As always, I'm kind of rambling along over here, but if you have any questions about the voting project, or if you want to show me some of your work, just upload it, send me a link, put your question in the chat, or yeah, you have my phone number also. So if you feel like you don't want to, you could also email if you don't want to send your question into the chat over here. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Well, the voting project was supposed to be due. Let's see, assignments. I'm going into Canvas to check. I believe it was in 2 weeks. It says due March 29, which is not right, because that's not a class day. it should be March. I'll just change it. Available. Oops. There's this new feature in Canvas that just makes it more annoying to use. Thanks, guys. March 26th would be the next week one. So it was March 29 because I had given a previous class. Oh no, that's because my class was on Monday last year. So ideally it was supposed to be done for next week, but I think I'm going to push that back to April 2nd now, even though that's, is that spring break? No, it isn't. So maybe April 2nd would make more sense. That way you have a little bit more time. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. So to get the final answer, it's on Canvas. I changed it on Canvas to April 2nd. That just makes more sense. At this point, you should have something that's pretty fleshed out. You should have your CSS and your HTML written. And the main thing there is to just try to do the mobile and desktop versions so they work well. Keep in mind that it should be just one HTML document, like we were saying last week. Shouldn't have like some sort of navigation that goes into multiple pages. There's an exception to this. If you look at the ones that were done last semester, someone had, this little menu on the left, and that's built in so that it's all on the same page, but that person kind of used a template, or sorry, not a template, a framework, which is a thing that just has pre-built options in it. And I would rather you don't do that, because the whole point of this class is for you to learn how to do it. And so basically the general rule of taking stuff from the internet in this class is that if you don't understand what you're doing with the stuff, you probably shouldn't put it in. In other words, if I ask you, oh, what does this do? And you can't answer, probably is just not the right thing to put in. No class assignments. Yeah, I'll check that. I didn't want to watch that video, Jasmine, because I'm in the middle of talking to you guys. But I'll definitely check and readjust if it's necessary for sure. It's very likely that that's what they decided, since April 6th is the spring break week. So just to transition everything, my question with all that, which is, unknown at this point, is are they going to extend the semester by 2 weeks as well, right? Michelle, I believe that spring break is supposed to be the week after. Oh, I'm totally messing it up. Let me check. Columbia College, Chicago. Yeah, so at UIC, for example, what they did is that they moved spring break 1 week early so that it would just take up this kind of scramble time. But I don't think Columbia did the same thing. Spring break, you are correct. March 30th to April 4th is spring break. So next week is spring break. No, not next week, 2 weeks from now. In that case, that means all of this is all wrong. I'm going to readjust my canvas. Spring break is on, for this class, Thursday, April 2nd. And therefore, if what Jasmine is saying is correct, yeah, it's those videos. It's like, great. I mean, already this streaming thing is new to me, but like sending a video by email is just kind of a guarantee that no one's going to watch it. Yeah, spring break started March 30th. Safrura and Michelle are correct. And therefore, what Jasmine says is also kind of making sense, because April 6th is the week after spring break. So I get the feeling that that's what's going on. Let me just check my email to see if there's anything I can read in there. Oh man, so many emails. It's kind of nuts. It's like everyone's just bored at home and they're like sending a bunch of emails about all this. video update yet. Thanks. Here we go. That's the written one. Yes, someone at Columbia was reported to have the coronavirus. They went to the 33 East I.W. Wells building. That's the one. Closed for a deep clean, that building. The other thing you should know in this email, if you haven't checked it out, is that they're closing the whole campus this Sunday, and also all of the dorms this Sunday, but I think they kicked you out today. All the students, yes. Here's another thing if you haven't read this email as well. If you can't leave campus housing by Sunday, you can email Kelly Collins at kcollins@colum.edu. I'm going to write this out in the chat. If you can't leave your dorm, Kelly. Yes, Kelly Collins. Kelly Collins. Gotta love a good alliterative name. There we go. Well. Oh, can't take that. Sorry. It's not one of you guys. And resuming instruction. Here we go. 3-week transition. Yeah, so let me just read it out in case you haven't read it. As you know, we had already announced the suspension of in-person instruction on campus and a 3-week transition to the delivery of all courses by alternative means beginning Monday, April 6th, just like you were saying. Our faculty have been working, that's me, hard to execute this transition, and we remain on track. Wow, I mean, that's a bold statement, but whatever. Our goal is for all students to be able to successfully complete their spring semester coursework and for our graduating seniors to complete their degree requirements. Starting Monday, April 6th, spring semester classes will resume and will be delivered remotely. There will be no in-person, well, there you go, instructional activity on campus for the remainder of the semester. Well, that settles that. So thanks for pointing that out to me, Jasmine, I believe, that there was an email, because I received so many of these emails that I don't read all of them. Whoops. So no more in-person activity for all of us. It's a little sad because, you know, I think it's more fun to see each other in person, and I'll miss you. But that's how it is. Yes, everyone at Columbia should closely monitor their health. Yes, okay, in that case, we will continue to provide update the computer resumption of instruction on April 6th. I think that the project that's probably going to suffer the most because of this gap, this 2-week gap, is this voting project. And so what's likely to happen, I'm going to readjust the dates then. What's likely to happen is that I'm probably just going to grade more leniently for this. However, because this is a web design class, you are able to put in the time and put the work in on that project, because it's, you know, all you need is a computer. If you don't have access to a computer, this is going to get a little trickier now because the school's closing, so you can't even go to the school to go use the computers. There's a few alternatives, but they all cost money. So, you know, if you want, you should get some sort of laptop. You can get some super cheap ones for like about 250, 300 bucks. But, you know, it's still a big chunk of money. However, if you're in graphic design, you probably should have a laptop already, because that's probably going to be super useful to have. And another alternative is that I know that certain Kinko's, FedExes have computers that you can use, but, you know, if you're not comfortable going into a public place and touching a computer that's, you know, in a Kinko's, I understand. Libraries are also still open, but I don't think that's a great idea either. I think those libraries should close very soon because, the staff is in there. It's not very good for them. It's, a bit of a strange situation. I don't think anyone here has been through something like this before. Someone was pointing out that it's kind of this weird juxtaposition of this kind of mundane, normal, I'm just sitting here at home, combined with this kind of low level stress. Well, low level might be a little bit higher level for you. That's just kind of underlying everything. If there's one piece of advice I can give you, in the eternal words of, what's his name, Douglas Adams, is to make sure you don't panic. I don't know what your state of mind is because I'm talking to myself in a room, looking at a camera. If you're feeling stressed out, just take it one day at a time. I know it seems like a lot of things are up in the air and going towards something that's a little bit more uncertain, but one day at a time. As you saw in the past week, a lot's changing. So yes, April 6th, exactly. So what Jasmine is pointing out, perfect. That's a great quote. Provided on March 23rd. All right. Well, you already have that knowledge for this class because I think I'm just going to do it this way. Might not be a full 4 hours like I was pointing out, but I think the streaming thing is ideal because I can just sit here and if you have questions, I'll be available to answer them. But doing this for 4 hours is probably a little tedious for me, unless most of that 4 hours involves me just sitting here looking at my computer. Because talking for 4 hours about all sorts of stuff is not great. And I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I guess you're used to it, because that's my thing. Yes, so don't panic. And what I was saying about your assignments, like I said, the voting project, activities associated with those classes, assignment tests, etc., are suspended. That's true, but my suggestion, if you're just sitting at home freaking out, or if you're just kind of bored out of your mind, is to put in some time on this. Why not? That's the opportunity that we have, is that we have all this time inside to do random activities. I certainly have a lot of things to do besides just going to work, so I'm sure you do too. But, spend a couple of hours a week or whatever trying to do this until we get back to April 6th. Because the alternative is not doing any of it for the next 2 weeks. And then, the adjustment period to getting back to it, well, it might be a little tricky. So ultimately, though, it's up to you because I'm not going to check on you, clearly. I'm just looking out the window and it's not raining anymore. So good time to take a walk if you want. Who would like to meet my dog? You want to meet my dog? I'm going to call her in here. I'll be right back. Hey, Beasley. Beasley. Get in here, big pup. There you go. Hey, Beasley. Oh, yeah, get up there, Bee. There we go. There she goes. introduce you to Beasley. This is Beasley over here. Oh, she's an old pup. Whoops. I'm lucky enough to be equipped with a tripod, so it's easy. Beasley is not into web design. Might surprise you to know. And she also thinks that this whole coronavirus is a bit of a conspiracy, so, don't believe everything she says. A bit nutty. So it's springtime, so Beasley's shedding, so I'm going to be covered in fur. Thanks, Beasley, but it's worth it because she's a sweet pup. I call her a pup, but she's actually like 10 years old, so just that she still behaves like she's a puppy sometimes. There you go, Beasley, and she's very fluffy. So here's the deal. Normally, she's not allowed on this couch because she's a dirty, dirty dog. Oh, don't feel bad, Beasley. But, special occasions. And here's the catch. She comes onto this couch when we're not home, so I don't think she's feeling too bad about it. Right, Beasley? I think she's actually looking at herself on the screen now. Can you figure out if it's you, Beasley? So there's Beasley. Back when I was doing my master's at UIC, I would bring her to school sometimes when I had to stay at the studio for hours so that she wouldn't be lonely. And she was always a favorite of all my classmates. She's very friendly. But now she's an old lady, so she breathes loudly. Can you hear it? Yeah. Oh, Beasley, show me that belly. So Benji has a very good question. How can we work with our partners so I'm going to move the computer so Beasley has room for her nose. Since we can't meet in person? Well, there's thankfully a few alternatives that are available to us because of the subject that we're working on, web design. Web design is kind of the quintessential work from home discipline. By the way, another kind of selling point for you if you're interested in, so let me just readjust this a little bit. Yes, Mary made a Teams thing. That's very good. Yeah, Beasley is the best. I love this pup so much. She is the sweetest dog I've ever had. So yes, Microsoft Teams is a great thing. Google Hangouts. I know that Columbia is pushing Canvas on everybody, but really all those tools that you can use to communicate with people are available. So Google Hangouts is really, really useful because you can also do shared documents. So you can open something like a Word document and everyone can edit it at the same time. So that could be useful to share little bits and pieces of code, for example. And if you combine that with some sort of vocal, either you talk on the phone or Skype or whatever, FaceTime, etc., you could probably, work sensibly the same way as you would in class next to your classmate. My suggestion is that since we have this class together on Thursdays from 1 to 5 every week, that's probably the time that you should just kind of reserve. So loud. Can you hear her breathing over here? Oh, she quieted down. Everything okay, Beasley? Okay. There she is. Get the feeling it's more fun to look at her than me, so there you go. That's Beasley. Here's the story of Beasley. 10 years ago, well, first of all, when I met my now wife, maybe 3 weeks after we started dating, she was like, so do you want to get a dog? And I was like, whoa, let's pump the brakes a little bit. And I had had bad experiences with dogs, so I didn't really want a dog. But eventually she was talking about how she wanted a dog, etc. And so I surprised her on her birthday 10 years ago. And we went to Pause, the shelter that's on Clybourne on the north side of the city. And we got this lady. And then she's like, I'm going to call her Beasley. I'm like, sure, that sounds good. She had the name all picked out and everything. And then we were talking about this with one of her friends that she's known since high school. And the friend's like, oh, what's your name? And Krista, my wife, goes, oh, it's Beasley. And he goes, another one? And that's when I found out that she had tried to call one of her dogs when she was growing up Beasley, but it didn't take because that dog was older and already had a name. So she just filed away that name Beasley to use on this pup. Apparently, a lot of the dogs that are at Paws come from the South and from Mexico, because it seems like a lot of the laws for neutering and spaying and all that stuff are a lot looser, and people are not on top of it. So there's a lot more of a stray dog problem down there. So that's a little sad. But thankfully, a lot of them get a good home, like this lady over here. The only reason she's staying here right now is because I'm letting her stay on the couch with me. Otherwise, she'd already be gone because she's, it's daytime. She wants her alone time. So another suggestion, if you want to work on the voting project to share your code besides something like Google Hangouts or Microsoft Teams, is what I was pointing out before, CodePen, right? CodePen.io. The link is at the beginning of the Canvas page for this class. So you can go in there and copy paste some little chunks of code that you can share with your teammates. I definitely think it's feasible. In fact, I would say that this class is probably one of the easiest classes to transition to the internet or to not in-person instructions. Sorry, Beasley. But she's very docile. Sweet pup. But she hates cats, this one, though. What a stereotype. Break the norm, Beasley. Make friends with cats. Yes. Beasley's also not into web design. Not into it. Too complicated. As far as the portfolio website goes, that's a different kind of project and a more long-term project. So once again, like Jasmine said, everything's kind of suspended until April 6th. But it's probably a good idea for you guys to just kind of look through your portfolio pieces. And also, you know what? A great thing to do in your free time, which is going to be useful for your portfolio website, but mostly useful for you. Oh, there she goes. You done, Beasley? Oh boy. Another thing that you should do is figure out some sort of logo for yourself. Here, let's just, there you go, Beasley. You want to get out of here, B? Okay. No? Make up your mind, B. So, there's all this kind of secondary, there she goes. There's all this kind of secondary information that you need on your website. And one of those is, like your logo, your identity, all that kind of stuff. Picking fonts for your portfolio website that can be useful. All of those kind of little tasks that you have along the way in making your portfolio. All right, let's see. See you later, B. There's the butt. There she goes. Bye, Beasley. Oh, I have to open the door for her. I'll be right back. Okay. Oh. Right, so picking a logo, as you notice, I'm wearing my house finest clothes. So, making a logo is useful because you're probably going to end up using it for other projects besides this portfolio website. So that's something that you should think about. There's a lot of different ways to make a logo. Some people like making a logo that's just images, like a bee or something. Maybe that's the wrong thing because that could be the letter B. A bird, for example, that's better. Some people like logo types where it's just your name or whatever the name of your company, but like rendered in a nice typeface, and you have to make sure that you think about the space between all the letters and between the words, and also the space that you're going to put around it. So all of that stuff. And also some people like just initials, that's another thing. A lot of type-based logos work perfectly fine. What I would recommend for the website specifically is that if you are building a logo, you should make sure that the logo typeface is not the same as the whole website's typeface, so that you can differentiate the two things a little bit. And it doesn't look like your logo is just this one thing at the top. If you don't have internet access at home, then working with your team is going to be a little trickier, and working on this class is going to be a little trickier. But I mean, I don't think that's an issue anymore, right? Is there anyone here that doesn't have access to the internet from home or from wherever you're living right now? And I'm not counting your phone, I'm just saying just in general. That doesn't seem to be an issue. Oh, I'm getting messages on this too. Right. Okay. So if we push until the 6th, that gives us, just going to look at the calendar to see how that affects everything. Yeah, so the 6th means the 9th for us, because that's the week of the 6th is Monday and our class is on Thursday. So that means starting today, it's 3 weeks from now. It's a lot of time. So if you care about your portfolio website as a thing that you're going to use outside of this class, I would still recommend that you do as much of the preparation work as possible. Like I was saying, collecting all your portfolio pieces, adjusting the image size and quality so that you have a website that's fast, but that still makes your stuff look good. Picking colors, picking fonts, organizing the structure of the website as well. I'll get to that in 3 weeks or so, but at the very least, get all the pieces together. It's kind of like when you're making a recipe, you just grab all the stuff, you take it out, you put it in front of you, and so when you're actually baking or cooking, you are ready to use all that stuff. So that's my suggestion. I don't, oh wow, my battery's almost dead. I don't know if I'm going to continue this stream a whole lot longer today. I will record something for you guys to explain variables, but realistically, since there's a gap for the next 3 weeks, that's like a bit of a break that'll help me think about how we're going to reorganize this class. Who is graduating this semester? Any of you? Because I get the feeling your commencement's going to be canceled as well. No news about that, but you know. Oh God. What I'm looking at now is just the emails that the school is sending to all the professors, and it's just making me think about all those professors that are not technically savvy or technologically savvy. And I wonder how those classes are going to go. And for you guys as well, because there's a lot of those classes that are, just readjust this a little bit. There we go, that's a little bit better. There's a lot of the classes that are much harder to transition into online, right? I wonder how they're going to do stuff like, drawing classes and etc. They'll really have to readjust the class content a whole lot more than we do. Because my goal is to try to stick to the amount of work or the work that we had. In other words, to make a portfolio website and to do the programming exercise. The programming exercise is another one that's super easy to do remotely because it's a website that you go on and you complete the assignments, the exercises on there. So from the start, that was something that was designed to be done at home. So that's easy. And then the quizzes for us are another thing that are easy to do at home because that's when you're supposed to do it anyway. So for the voting project, try to get in touch with your teammates, but we have a couple of weeks of transition, so that gives you a little bit of a break. If you are feeling bored or want to keep busy, then you do have some work that you can do for this class. We're all kind of playing it by ear, you know, everyone, no one really knows what's going on, which is kind of a problem of our government, but, you know, no comment. This isn't going to turn into some crazy political rant over here because I'm YouTube live somehow. I'm going to start doing that stuff. I think that once they establish more extensive testing for the virus and the more time passes, the more we learn about how it propagates and what we can do to stop it. So it could change any day. Like maybe 5 days from now, they're going to be like, oh, we found a vaccine and here's how we can, you know, protect most of the population. Already yesterday, I was looking at the student in the UK who found a new test, who designed a new test, I should say, for the coronavirus. Because there's some places like South Korea where they established these drive-through testing facilities. And that's how South Korea really got on top of this. And, you know, this never became a huge problem for them because they tested as many people in the population as they could. But the test as it currently exists involves a swab of your throat and up your nose. That's not great, not super comfortable, and also not easy to do if you don't know what you're doing. This student in the UK designed a finger prick test. So, you know, like an EpiPen, it's like a thing about this big, and there's a little needle that just goes boop and grabs a little bit of blood. And so if that thing is actually viable, that means the testing is going to be able to be done a lot faster because it grabs a little bit of your blood and then they can test it out. So we don't know. You know, 2 days ago, we didn't know if we're going to get any money, if anything was going to happen. And now that seems to be happening. The logistics of it are unclear, but I imagine that's probably going to happen sooner than later because there's a lot of people that are hurting a lot without that. So we just don't know what's going on. So my recommendation is to take care of your physical health, but also take care of your mental health. That's so critical and people tend to forget. It's important to not let the stress take over. Even if you are not personally at high risk, well, neither am I really. It's really much older people, 70 and 80. It's still important to try to stay healthy so that we don't spread this throughout the whole population. But if you're stressed out, you're not going to be healthy. So, you know, try to take care of yourself. Take a moment to just relax, take some deep breaths. What helps for me is taking walks with Beasley. You know, that's relaxing. And, you know, wash your hands. Like I said, try not to touch your face too much if you go outside. There's a really interesting thing that I saw about this where this professor somewhere was saying, you know, instead of thinking of how can I protect myself from this virus, like what measures, like washing my hands, not touching my face, etc., kind of a mental shift to do is to ask instead, how can I prevent contamination to someone else? In other words, to assume that you already have this virus and to then make efforts to not give it to someone else. I think that's a really good kind of mental flip for taking care of yourself. I think I'm going to be ending this soon in the next 10 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, any other questions or anything else, please let me know in the chat. But I'm also available. You have my phone number if you're freaking out or whatever. I'm here for you. We're all in the same boat at this point. So let's just try to take care of each other. That's my thought. So yes, if you have any questions about the class specifically or in general, let me know in the chat. Oh, Larry. Okay. So yeah, the semester is supposed to end on May 15. I wonder if they're gonna extend by a week, but probably not. The good news in all this for you guys is that this is happening in the spring semester, so that means the whole summer is there in case this is dragging on for a very long time. Hopefully it won't affect 2 semesters like it could have if it was, September currently, and it would probably affect the next semester. So let's hope next semester is better, and we'll make the most of this semester as possible. My mission is still to try to teach you web design by any means necessary. So that's what I'm going to try to keep doing. But yes, there's, I think, an extra layer to this, like I was saying, which is to try to stay healthy, everybody. And so I'm here for you in that situation as well, because I think it's important to look out for each other. Before we go, one quick question. How's the kind of general sound level, image quality? Is it okay, or is it kind of messy on your end? Just so I know what to try to adjust for 2 weeks from now when this happens again, or April 6th, whenever. So if you have any sort of issue, or if it looks fine, and if you can hear me okay, then good, let me know. Solid, good. Good to know. I actually set up my internet at home here. That's one of the things that I love about having my own house, is that you can set that up as opposed to an apartment. And so there's these things that you can buy that are access points, just like they have at school. So I have one that's just outside the room here for the Wi-Fi. So good to know. Getting the thumbs up from everyone. That's awesome. Really good. Before I go, any questions? Oh, good. Well, that's your own fault, Sephora. Sephora, you're at your parents' house, right? So it's your parents' Wi-Fi. If your parents set it up, maybe that's why. I wish I could, include in the web design class how to configure your Wi-Fi. That'd be a good, useful thing. That's probably would be even more useful than web design in your daily life. But maybe another time. I'm going to wait until 3:05, and then I'm going to sign off. So if you have some questions, now's your chance. And remember the words of wisdom over here. If you feel like reading a really fun book and you're into science fiction, which is not for everybody, but Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, if you haven't read that already, it's pretty funny and good. So it's usually available in all used bookstores, but if you don't want to go in a used bookstore right now, you can order it from Amazon. Great book indeed, Benji. I agree. And the edition I got has all the extra little stories that he wrote after the main story, which are also pretty good. Safura, let me know if you need resources. There's probably some videos and tutorials I can send you on how to set up your Wi-Fi. The other thing I'm going to do also is I'm going to, in the next few weeks, as part of this transition, you are kind of off school for a bit, but we are kind of scrambling to get this done, is I'm going to try to find a lot of video resources on HTML, CSS. There's already a bunch, and I think that that could be useful, so that if you need more than just this kind of half-assed stream that I'm doing here, then you can, look at YouTube videos. Don't forget, you also have access, and this is good for all of your classes. You have access to lynda.com as part of your fees that you're paying for Columbia. So lynda.com with a Y like this. Go through Columbia, just try to find the information on the Columbia website, but if you can, send an email, and we'll, you can get a lot of stuff, especially for web design, but in all sorts of disciplines as well. There's a lot of instructional videos on there. So something to keep an eye on. All right, Sephora, let me see. What's it doing right now? Ooh. Generally speaking, setting up your Wi-Fi, I'm going to send you a link. I don't know if this is any good, though. Yes. Aqua, yes. What I would recommend as a first step, Sephora, is to look up the brand of your Wi-Fi or your router that you have in your house, and going on the website for that company, and they'll have instructions. I also found this right now, which seems to be pretty basic, but still can be useful. The main thing that you should remember, error, try again. That didn't work. Oh, it didn't like just a URL. There you go. One of the things that can affect your Wi-Fi is different channels. You can set up your Wi-Fi to broadcast on a specific channel, and there's these bands, kind of like FM radio. And if your neighbor is using the same channel as you, that can be a problem. If your router is next to a microwave, it creates interference. It could be a problem, stuff like that. So think like radio kind of stuff. And so there's a great little app you can download if you are on Android. It's called, where is it? NetSpot. So what it does is NetSpot just scans like this. So Fat Squirrel at the top is mine. I don't know if it's blurry or not, but it just gives you details on all of the Wi-Fis that your phone can pick up. And if you see that it's picking up yours not in the green, like mine's in the green right now at the top, it's in fact the strongest signal where I am, which is a good sign. The other one is probably upstairs, the neighbors upstairs. So if yours isn't in the green, then you can, take steps to adjust it. But once you connect to your Wi-Fi, generally speaking, you can connect to your router directly and go into the settings for it and change all those things and change the channel and etc. But it depends on your router. So Sephora, if you want more details, you can send me an email with the details of your router, and I can help you out. Okay, everyone, if there are no questions, I'm going to sign off and go pet Beasley and take care of my family. But I will keep an eye on my email, of course, in the next 2 weeks, just in case there's some stuff that you are concerned about. And as I said, you have my phone number. If you want to text or call, feel free. If I'm asleep, I turn off the ringer, so no worries. Okay, well, I mean, this was kind of a test run of this whole streaming thing. I would consider it mostly a success. I just have to watch out for that whole link thing. That didn't work out, but I think I can figure it out for next time. So as far as this class goes, I'm going to stick to the schedule that Columbia has offered, but keep an eye on Canvas for details so that we're all on the same page. I'm probably going to send either a global email, since there was only about half of the class that was here, just to write down all that stuff in a clear place, or a clear way in a specific place. That's what I want to say, so that you can check it out. Okay, well, have a great rest of the day and a great weekend and a great week, and Stay healthy. I'll see you. Well, I won't see you, but I'll be on here in a couple weeks. But check on Canvas. Bye, everyone. I have to click on the button. Can I do it without looking? Yes.